Fellas, give me 10 minutes of your attention, just 10 minutes, and I'll shift your mindset in a way that makes women see you differently forever, not because I'm here to sell dreams, but because what I'm about to say will make you understand a truth that most men die never realizing. Most guys think they need to put on a show to get a woman's attention, like they have to become a version of themselves that's smoother, louder, more polished, more charming, or more alpha. So they put on this social mask. They talk in a different tone, they act more confident than they feel, they try to present themselves as someone impressive, but what they don't realize is that women are biologically built to detect inauthenticity. It's not something they do logically, it's instinctive. They can sense when a man is being disingenuous even before they consciously know it. That's why some guys get ghosted even when they say all the right things. That's why a guy who's perfectly nice and says what he thinks she wants to hear still ends up getting put in the friend zone. Because when you pretend to be someone else, you're telling her on a subconscious level that you're insecure, that you don't believe you're enough. And that energy repels her more than any pickup line or lack of physical attraction ever could. On the other hand, when you embrace the man you really are, flaws, scars, opinions, and all, and you show up without performing or seeking her approval, that's when everything shifts. When you speak your truth without caring if she agrees or not. When you own your awkwardness, your rough edges, or your silence. When you say no without explaining, walk away without guilt, and compliment her without needing anything back, she feels something. Not the shallow interest she has for guys who flatter her ego, not the amusement she gets from guys who try too hard to impress her, but something primal, something magnetic, something she doesn't even understand, but deeply craves. She feels grounded in your presence because you're grounded in yourself. Authenticity is the most dangerous weapon in your arsenal because it's the rarest. Most men are so disconnected from who they are that they don't even realize they're faking it. They're constantly adjusting their behavior to fit in, to be liked, to avoid judgment, or to appear desirable. But a woman doesn't want a man who changes shape depending on who's watching. She wants a man who can walk into a room and not give a damn who's watching. A man who doesn't need to chase approval because he approves of himself. That kind of man stands out without trying, and that's the paradox. The more real you are, the more attractive you become. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real in a world full of fakes. Most men think attraction is about talking, saying the right things, coming up with clever lines, or keeping a conversation going endlessly. They think silence is awkward or even dangerous, especially with women. So they fill up every second with chatter, compliments, stories, and over-explaining themselves. But the truth is, silence, when used with confidence, is one of the most powerful tools a man can have. Not because you're being rude or cold, but because silence creates space. And in that space, tension builds, and attraction thrives on tension. When a man speaks slowly, pauses before he answers, and lets moments breathe, he communicates control. He's not racing to impress. He's not reacting anxiously. He's grounded, and women pick up on that immediately. There's something deeply primal in the female psyche that's drawn to the man who doesn't rush, who's in no hurry to fill the void. Why? Because that kind of stillness signals confidence. It shows he's not afraid of silence. He's not desperate for approval. He knows who he is, and he's comfortable in his own presence. That alone sets him apart from 90% of other men. Think about it. When you pause before answering a question, you create anticipation. When you maintain eye contact without saying a word, you create intensity. When you respond with a calm smirk instead of a loud reaction, you take control of the dynamic. Silence is not emptiness. It's not passivity. When done right, it becomes presence. And presence is what women crave far more than words. You can talk all day and never make her feel anything. But one moment of powerful silence filled with certainty and calm can make her feel more seen and desired than an hour-long conversation. The men who truly understand this don't compete with noise. They don't rush to validate. They don't explain themselves unless necessary. They listen, they observe. They respond when they're ready, not when pressured. And when they do speak, their words carry more weight. Because they've already shown, through their silence, that they don't speak unless they have something valuable to say. That kind of discipline is magnetic. It draws women in without effort. It makes them curious. Who is this man who doesn't seem fazed, who can hold eye contact without flinching, who can let me talk and simply listen, even in conflict? Silence is dominance. When she raises her voice and you don't match her energy, when you pause instead of react, when you look at her without saying a word and simply walk away, that drives her insane. Not because you're ignoring her, but because you're not controlled by her emotions. You're showing her non-verbally that you're not going to be pulled out of your masculine center, and that's rare. That's the kind of man a woman feels safe with, drawn to, intrigued by, even if she doesn't fully understand why. So many men chase validation through words, thinking that if they say the right thing, they'll win her over. But real power lies in the man who knows when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Because silence in the hands of a confident man becomes louder than anything he could ever say. It creates mystery, it sparks desire, and it keeps her thinking about you long after the conversation is over. Most men have been brainwashed to believe that if a woman pulls away, they should chase harder, that if she's distant, they need to close the gap, that if she's losing interest, they must prove themselves more, give more attention, send more texts, plan more dates, become more emotionally available. But this conditioning only trains men to become emotionally dependent and deeply unattractive. Because the truth is, women don't respond to pressure, they respond to space. And nothing creates space like a man who is willing to walk away. Not out of anger, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. When you're willing to walk away first and mean it, you automatically flip the dynamic. You stop reacting to her behavior and instead you start commanding the frame. Why? Because the man who can walk away is the man who has options. He's not clinging, he's not invested in outcomes, he's not living in fear of losing her because he understands his value doesn't come from her attention. That kind of mindset isn't something you fake. It's something you build. It comes from knowing that your life is full and meaningful with or without her. And ironically, that's what makes her chase you. Most men think showing their devotion is the way to win a woman's heart. But the paradox is that when a woman feels like she has all of you too soon, when she feels you're emotionally dependent on her reactions, she begins to lose attraction. Because attraction isn't built on certainty. It's built on uncertainty, not in a manipulative way, but in the sense that mystery and challenge keep her engaged. And the man who can walk away first is the ultimate challenge. He sends the message, I want you, but I don't need you. That's irresistible. That makes her wonder what kind of man has that much discipline. What kind of man can feel something and still choose to walk if he's not being valued? You see, Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about asterisk yourself asterisk more. It means you have standards. It means you're not going to negotiate your worth just to be liked. And when a woman sees that, two things happen. First, she realizes she can't control you through withdrawal, games, or emotional baiting. Second, she starts to view you as a high. You man, the kind of man who doesn't stay where he's not appreciated. That ignites a different part of her psychology. The part that wants to prove she's worthy of asterisk, you asterisk. She starts questioning herself, rethinking her actions, and often chasing what she once took for granted. But if you're always available, always forgiving, always trying to make it work, you teach her that she can mistreat you without consequences. You teach her that you'll stick around no matter how little effort she gives, and that kills desire, because desire is rooted in admiration, and no woman admires a man she can walk all over. No woman desires a man who's too afraid to lose her. The man she desires is the one who makes her feel lucky to be chosen, the man who is willing to remove himself from her life with dignity and silence if she begins to disrespect his presence. Walking away doesn't just protect your peace. It restores your power. It reinforces to her and to yourself that you are not a slave to her beauty, her body, her attention, or her validation. And when you walk away early, when you sense red flags, manipulation, or emotional games, you save yourself months or even years of heartbreak. You send a clear message: I am not here to be tested. I am not here to beg. I know who I am, and if you don't see it, that's your loss. That message doesn't need to be spoken. She feels it. And once she does, the chase begins not because you made her, but because you asterisk let her go asterisk. Emotional control is the foundation of true masculinity. It's not just about being calm when things are going well, it's about how you handle yourself when chaos hits, when things don't go your way. When a woman tests you, when she pulls back, when she gets under your skin on purpose to see how much power she really has over you. Most men fail right here. They lose control. They react out of fear. They text too much. They raise their voice. They beg for reassurance. And without even realizing it, they show her that she holds the emotional steering wheel in the relationship. That's when she starts to pull away. Because the moment a man loses control of himself, he loses her respect. And once respect is gone, attraction soon follows. The truth is, women don't test you because they want to hurt you. They test you because they want to feel something. They want to feel your strength, your stability, your ability to remain grounded when emotions run high. They want to know that no matter how turbulent the storm gets, you won't be swept away by it, that you won't crumble, panic, or lash out. That's how they measure a man's worth. Not by what he says when things are good, but how he behaves when she challenges him, when she ignores him, when she flirts with another man in front of him, just to see if he'll break character. The man who has emotional control doesn't flinch. He observes, he reads the moment, he lets the storm pass without losing his composure, and when he speaks, he does so calmly and deliberately, not to react, but to respond. That difference is massive. Reaction is emotional, response is conscious. Most men react, and they pay the price. They try to control her actions instead of mastering their own emotions. But you can't control a woman, you can only control your response to her. And the man who can maintain inner peace when everything around him is unstable, that man becomes unshakable. This is what separates the average guy from the hive, you man, because the average guy doesn't even know he's being tested. He gets baited by her silence. He takes the flirtation personally. He starts arguing, over-explaining, accusing, apologizing too much, all of which make him look weak. She may not say it out loud, but she feels it. The shift, the loss of polarity, and slowly, without warning, her desire dies. But the man who understands emotional control knows that her chaos is not a threat, it's an invitation to lead, to hold frame, to show her what a man really looks like. When you refuse to be emotionally manipulated, you shift the entire dynamic. You become a mirror to her instability. You show her that no amount of provocation will pull you out of your grounded self. And in doing so, you teach her how to regulate herself. You become the anchor, and women gravitate to men who feel like anchors in a sea of uncertainty. Men who can feel emotions but are not ruled by them. Men who don't collapse under pressure but expand within it. Emotional control also applies to how you carry yourself beyond women. The way you handle failure, rejection, disappointment, and adversity in life. Because a man who is easily broken by the outside world is often the same man who tries to control women through force, insecurity, or neediness. He's reactive, volatile, and that volatility is repulsive. Not just to women, but to everyone around him. People don't trust men who are emotionally unstable, because you never know what version of them you'll get. But a man who is consistent in his energy, who's calm under pressure, stoic under stress, and composed in the face of disrespect, that man commands loyalty from women, from peers, and from the world. Being emotionally in control doesn't mean you don't feel. It means your feelings don't own you. It means you feel jealousy, but you don't act out of it. You feel anger, but you don't lose your head. You feel sadness, but you process it with maturity. That is strength. That is masculinity. And when a woman sees that you don't need to yell, beg, or prove anything because your silence, your posture, your stillness say it all, she experiences a level of attraction that's not rooted in lust, but in admiration. Scarcity is one of the most misunderstood and underestimated forces in human psychology, especially in the dating world. Men often believe that if they're constantly available, always texting back fast, consistently initiating conversations, and showing up whenever she needs them, they'll earn her attention and affection. They think being dependable and emotionally generous around the clock is what wins a woman's heart. But this is a trap one that turns strong, smart men into forgettable options. Because when something is always available, it loses its value. It becomes ordinary, and no woman fantasizes about the ordinary. Think about it. Why are diamonds expensive? Why do people chase luxury cars, high-end brands, or hard-to-reach goals? Because the human brain is wired to desire what it can't have easily. We assign higher value to anything that's rare, limited, or hard to access. The same principle applies in dating. The man who is always there, constantly showing up, texting good morning every day, asking how her day was every night, being her emotional sponge, becomes boring. Not because he isn't kind, but because there's no tension, no challenge, no mystery. She knows he'll always be there, and once that certainty sets in, her mind and emotions start to drift. Now contrast that with the man who makes his presence scarce. The man who doesn't reply right away. The man who disappears for a day or two because he's building his body, his business, his mind. The man whose time is clearly valuable and not just a performance. That man doesn't need to say he's high value. He shows it through how he manages his time and energy. And women feel it deeply. They wonder what he's doing. They check their phone more often. They analyze every small interaction with him. Because his attention is no longer a given, it's a reward. And that shifts the entire dynamic of desire. Scarcity is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to get, not through manipulation, but through purpose. The men who naturally draw women in are those who are too busy building something bigger than chasing women. They don't ignore women out of strategy. They simply don't make women their priority because their mission is. That kind of focus is intoxicating to a woman. She may complain. She may say she wants more time, more attention, more consistency. But underneath all that, what keeps her coming back is the fact that you are not revolving your life around her. When a woman doesn't know exactly where she stands with you, when she's not sure whether she has full access to your mind or heart, that tension creates emotional investment. And emotional investment is the root of obsession. The more space she has to imagine what you're thinking, to question what you're doing, to wonder if she has your full attention, the more she becomes hooked. And it's not about being cold or distant for the sake of power. It's about having a life so rich, so full, so self-directed that she naturally becomes a part of your story, not the whole story. Most men try to impress with consistency, but the truth is, consistency without scarcity equals boredom. A man who texts every day but never creates distance becomes predictable, and predictability is the death of attraction. A man who is always emotionally available even when she's cold, distant, or disrespectful teaches her that his attention costs nothing. And when it costs nothing, it means nothing. But a man who withdraws when he's disrespected, who takes time to himself without explanation, who doesn't respond instantly to every message or emotional cue, that man sets a tone. My time is valuable, and I don't give it freely to just anyone. This kind of scarcity doesn't push women away. It pulls the women in, the ones who want a man with purpose, direction, and standards. It filters out the needy, the chaotic, the attention seekers, and it attracts the women who are capable of valuing a man who values himself. Because scarcity at its core communicates self-worth. It shows that you see your energy as a currency and not everyone gets to spend it. And the woman who does get it, even in small doses, will treat it like gold. Because you taught her through your actions, not your words, that your presence is a privilege, not a given. Most men are obsessed with external validation. They need to be told they're attractive. They need her to say she likes them. They crave reassurance through compliments, constant texting, and physical affection. And when they don't get that validation, they start doubting themselves. They spiral. They assume something's wrong. They begin to adjust who they are in order to win back that approval. But this dependence on external feedback is the fastest way to kill your masculinity, because it puts your sense of self in someone else's hands. A man who needs to be told he's valuable is a man who doesn't believe he's valuable. And women pick up on that even if they can't explain it. The most attractive men, the men women talk about, chase, fantasize over, and can't seem to get out of their minds are not the ones trying to be like. They're the ones who are too focused on being authentic. They're not playing roles. They're not tailoring their personality to fit a situation. They're not filtering their opinions to avoid offense. They're not studying what she likes and then morphing into it. Instead, they show up fully as themselves, without apology, without hesitation. And this raw, unfiltered self-expression is magnetic, not because it pleases everyone, but because it repels the wrong people and draws in the right one. When you stop chasing validation, your energy changes completely. You no longer fear rejection, because you don't see rejection as proof that you're unworthy. You see it as a natural part of being a man with standards. You stop needing women to tell you you're enough, because you already know you are. And the moment you embody that belief, your presence shifts. You speak slower. You move with more intention. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop trying to make everyone comfortable. You don't react to every emotional spike she throws your way, because you're not operating from a place of fear, you're operating from a place of internal strength. This kind of mindset creates a gravitational pull, because when a woman senses that you don't need her to complete you, entertain you, or fix your emotional voids, she starts wanting to be around you more. Not out of guilt, obligation, or sympathy, but out of genuine desire. She wants to be close to a man who isn't afraid to be alone. She admires a man who says what he means even if it's unpopular. She's drawn to a man who values his peace over her validation. Because that kind of man is rare, and rarity is always attractive. Letting go of validation doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop needing them to confirm your worth. You can still enjoy connection, love, affection, but they become bonuses, not necessities. You are not shaken by someone leaving because they didn't build your sense of self. You are not emotionally crippled by ghosting, rejection, or silence, because your identity isn't built on being chosen, it's built on choosing yourself. And when a man lives like that, when he walks through the world fully anchored in who he is, people don't just respect him, they remember him. Even in moments of intimacy, a man who doesn't need validation becomes more powerful. He's not trying to perform or impress. He's not seeking approval through how he touches her or what he says in bed. He's fully present. He's tuned into himself, into her, into the moment, not because he wants to be liked, but because he wants to experience it fully. And ironically, that's what creates unforgettable experiences for women. Not the guy who tries the hardest, not the one who mimics everything she says, but the one who stays grounded in himself, no matter what's happening around him. Most men never reach this level because they're too busy trying to be accepted. They hide their flaws, they mask their insecurities, they say yes when they mean no. They pretend to be unbothered when they're falling apart inside. But none of that earns real love. At best, it earns temporary attention, and attention fades fast. But a man who knows who he is, owns his story, and doesn't flinch when others disapprove, that man is unforgettable. That man is what every woman secretly hopes to meet, even if she can't admit it. Because in a world of men who bend for approval, the one who stands tall becomes impossible to ignore. So understand this: it's not about tricks, lines, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about stepping fully into your masculine core and letting that energy speak louder than any words ever could. When you embody emotional control, scarcity, the ability to walk away, and true self-validation, you become a man who doesn't chase women. Women naturally gravitate toward you. Because deep down, every woman is drawn to the man who doesn't need her, yet chooses her. The man who lives with purpose, moves with discipline, and leads with quiet confidence. You don't need to beg for attention. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to remember who you are and act like it . Once you do, you'll realize that you never had to chase any woman. Because the right ones were always watching, waiting, and silently hoping you'd become the man who finally gives them a reason to stay.